Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing of the national anthem. Please take your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Brigadier General Kaczynski, Command Sergeant Major Bergeron, I welcome you to the celebration of the United States Army Reserve 115th birthday. This year's theme is Find Your Passion, Find Your Purpose. My name is Luther Thomas. I'm the MIRC's Command Executive Officer, and I would like to acknowledge our guest and special speaker today, Brigadier General Kelly Dickerson. I would also like to extend a welcome to our distinguished visitor, CW5 retired Phyllis Wilson, who happens to be the president of the Women's Memorial, Military Women's Memorial. We're also joined today by our fellow soldiers, friends, families, alumni, and those watching on live stream. So let's start off with a little history. The Army Reserve of today traces its lineage to what was then the Medical Reserve Corps, established on 23 April 1908. The organization distinguished itself in its role for supporting the Army during the First World War. The Defense Act of 1920 authorized a regular Army, a National Guard, and an organized reserve consisting of officer reserve corps and enlisted reserve corps. For you young soldiers, do not listen to Master Sergeant Williams. I was not an original member of the enlisted reserve corps. Congress intended for this to expanded reserve to train during peacetime and to provide trained soldiers in the event of war. Reservists were called upon again in 1940 to serve during the Second World War. These soldiers were assigned to over 26 divisions during the war and served with distinction. After World War II, the Army Reserve played a critical role during the Cold War. The U.S. Army Reserve of that era boasted fully capable combat divisions. Reservists mobilized to support the force during every conflict throughout that period, including the Korean War, the war in Vietnam, various peacekeeping operations, as well as major exercises including return of forces to Germany or the reforging. The Army disbanded most of the Army Reserve's combat units during the post-Cold War drawdowns. In spite of that fact, the Army Reserve supported missions in 1990, including Operation Desert Shield and Desert Storm. And after the 9/11 attacks, we mobilized thousands of reservists to support the global war on terror, and we continue to support operations into the present. Today, the Army Reserve is configured to provide combat support, combat service support, peacekeeping, nation building, and civil support capability. The Army Reserve provides about half of the Army's combat support and a quarter of the Army's mobilization-based expansion capacity. Within the Army Reserve, while the Army Reserve contains roughly 20% of the Army's organized units, it only receives 5.3% of the Army's budget. The nature of citizen soldiers is unique. Our soldiers balance their civilian careers with their military service. These men and women bring their skills to bear. And today we celebrate 115 years of our Army Reserve. This year's theme is Find Your Passion, Find Your Purpose. And it's a theme that resonates with each of us in this room. We're all here today because we found our passion and we found our purpose. For many of us, our passion is serving our country and our purpose is defending our way of life. For others, our passion might be a specific mission or role within the Army Reserve, while our purpose might be to ensure the readiness and effectiveness of the units we're assigned. Whatever your passion or your purpose may be, it's important to remember that you're part of a team. The Army Reserve is made up of individuals with different backgrounds, skills, and experiences, but we all share one common goal: to serve our country and to protect our freedom. It's also important to remember that finding your passion is just like birthdays. It's not a one-time event. It's a journey, one that requires dedication, hard work, and the willingness to learn and grow. As you progress in your military career, you will face new challenges and opportunities, and your passion and purpose may evolve, it might even change. But one thing will always remain constant is the importance of the work that we do. The Army Reserve plays a critical role in our national defense, and the contributions are felt not just here in the homeland, but around the world. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor of introducing our guest speaker, Brigadier General Kelly M. Dickerson. Brigadier General Dickerson enlisted in the United States Army in September 1988 as an armored crewman and served in the 3rd Armored Cavalry Regiment. Following his deployment to Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm, he was awarded a Green and Gold Scholarship and subsequently commissioned as an armored officer in 1905. Oh, excuse me. He was not an original member either.
I look pretty good, don't I?
He was assigned to the 2nd Armored Cavalry Regiment, where he served as a scout platoon leader, troop executive officer. In 2001, he transitioned into the Army Reserve, where he's commanded at the company, battalion, brigade levels, while serving in various staff positions within the brigade, division, ASCC, Combined Joint Task Force organization. He currently serves as the Department of the Army serves on the Department of the Army staff as in the Office of the Chief of the Army Reserve as a G357 at Fort Belvoir, and he is an officer in the Pentagon. He previously served as the Deputy Commanding General for the Special Warfare Center and School and Special Operations Center of Excellence at Fort Bragg. Brigadier General Dickerson holds a Bachelor's in Chemistry from Virginia Tech and a Master's of Science and Strategic Studies from the U.S. Army War College. His operational experience includes deployments in support of Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm, Operation Joint Guard, Operation Iraqi Field, Operation Inherent Reserve. In his civilian capacity, General Dickerson is the head of global seller risk for PayPal. Now for you young folks, okay, before we had Cash App, Venmo, Apple Pay, and Google Pay, we had PayPal. And so he's a senior leader in that organization, and has served with several financial technology firms across various banking, consumer, commercial lending, venture capital. Also, software as a system technology platforms. His passion for offering underserved customers value-based products on par with mainstream markets has provided a very diverse experience in customer risk-based analytics integrated with novel technology and application. Ladies and gentlemen, Brigadier General Dickerson.
Okay, so for the folks that are on, the microphone is on that phone, right? Is that how it works? Do I have to use this? Am I good? All right, great. Y'all can hear me, right? I'm gonna make sure I'm in the camera's piece. I have to have the mic?
Yes, please.
All right. Get loud. All right, first of all, Luther, thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Chief Wilson, thanks for being here. Good to see you again. To all the soldiers, civilians, anyone else here, you got family members, thanks for having me here. To General Jasinski, who I've had a couple conversations with. This is only my 2nd time in the MIRC. You don't let me in here very often. The last time I was a captain and I was looking for a job, and he said, yeah, we don't need you that type here. So this time I'm here, at least I got invited this time. been all serious. I see some of my other soldiers here I've served with before, and that's kind of what I want to make sure. I don't have a whole lot to talk about, but I first want to say, anybody know what that thing is up there? What is that?
New logo.
It's a new logo. You know when it's official? Today. Yeah, General Daniels just talked about it in our OTR. You guys had that. So pretty exciting. Had to go through a couple of reviews and legal issues and trademark and everything else, but that's it. And then today you'll actually start seeing in the media is the new campaign. Anybody know what the new campaign slogan is for the Army? Man, it sounds a lot like 1905 when I joined. Yeah, be all you can be. But what about the Army Reserve? Anybody know what that one is? Come on, someone from PAO's got to have it. Anybody know what the new Army?
Citizen soldier?
No, that's the old one. Twice the citizen. It's your time. You're going to hear a lot more about that, but it's your time. And the whole theme about why that is and how General Daniels' thought process was really to capture the spirits of the citizen soldier, right? And look at folks that want to maybe perhaps join our ranks and stay in our ranks. You hear a lot about recruiting and retention, and it's dire. You hear all these words about chaos and all these pieces. Let me tell you some good news. Our end strength actually went up over the last 6 weeks. Up. That's net, everyone leaving, coming, going, up and down. It went up. We have, that just wasn't just new recruits coming in. There were folks that are coming back. There are folks that are saying, maybe I'll stick around a little bit longer. There's folks coming off of active duty. They're like, well, maybe this whole reserve thing would be kind of cool to do. It doesn't have anything to do with economics. It doesn't have anything to do with a lot, except for many of you are getting out there and telling your stories. So I have a little story to tell you. Now we mark 115 years this week. Anybody know what happened yesterday, a few hundred years ago? Anybody? History?
Shot heard around the world.
Shot heard around the world. Lexington conquered, right? Do you know who led that battle? Anybody know that person's name? It was a captain. My favorite rank in the Army. Anybody know the person's name? You ever see the Army logo, the old one? There's a dude on there, right? With a funny hat. Anybody know his name? John Parker. Okay, John Parker led the militia to battle Lexington conquered. And the story of Parker's revenge is kind of the story of the Revolutionary War. If you think about it, did we win a lot of battles during the Revolutionary War? Did we win a lot? No, we lost a lot. We almost lost all of them, as a matter of fact. That one you consider a win, maybe, but the British were like, whoa, what's going on here? These guys are looking to fight. We lost a lot of battles, shed a lot of blood. Who won the war? Stands right now. It's like we got a cool little flag and everything. The reason is we never quit. We don't give up. And that's true of our citizen soldiers. That's true of our active component. That's true of our National Guard, of all our military. But I will be very specific in saying I am proud to work in the Pentagon. And I walk through and let everybody know, yes, I wear the headquarters Army DA patch. That's cool. I'm an Army reservist. I stand for something just a little bit different, and that's that I'm always ready. Whether you want me to go ahead and generate revenue for your tax base to pay for the bills we got to pay for, or if you want me to put the uniform on and go do the things to ensure that our nation continues and our partners and allies continue to have the lives they want. So while we celebrate 115 because we have the things called laws and Title 10 and everything else that establishes the Army Reserve, National Guard, I kind of look back a few hundred years ago and say, April 19, 1775, man, that was a heck of a day. Anybody know what happened 4 months later to John Parker? Anybody know? He died. Anybody know what he died of? See, back then, TB was really bad. So if you think about the life cycle of TB, he fought, having already contracted TB at the Battle of Lexington conquered, still led his soldiers. You talk about somebody who didn't want to quit. He continued to serve, and he passed away 4 months later. He would never see the victory that his nation, that he started in that day. And I think about all the things that you all do, what you'll continue to do, most people won't see what you have done. They won't. And if you're doing your jobs, many of you, the right way, no one will never know you did what you did, right? This little fact here that I was given, and Glenn, thanks for this. He's an MI officer. So from fiscal year 22 to 24, We'll deploy over 65 FTNs out of the MIRC, 783 soldiers. Last year, 25 FTNs and 258 soldiers. This year, 24 FTNs and 361 soldiers. And FY24, which I will tell you, the gift map for 24 is already at change 14. It'll probably go through 24 to 25 changes. It means we keep adding stuff. As of right now, we're talking 16 FTNs and 164 packs, and I don't see where that type of operational tempo is going to decrease. So what that means is we have to figure out a way to gain some of that resilience. So the soldiers that are here, and you got many more that aren't probably coming to drill weekend, we have to make sure, and that's one of the jobs that General Daniels has placed on me, that we're not burning soldiers out. We're able to kind of find a way for that actual dwell time to allow for the things that keep us the Army Reserve we are. The reserve as an operational component, yes, I would actually argue over the last 20 years, we've been an operational part, actually probably dating back to Desert Storm. We've been a part of the operator. We're not just a strategic reserve. We're going to continue to do things in integrated defense, or deterrence, and campaigning, and we're always going to be ready if we need to go. And if you can see the world today, all over Sudan, there's another little hot spot there if you're tracking that, many of you may be. Just think about the world and what our partners are asking us to do. This doesn't mean, though, that General Daniels wants you to kind of put everything out there every single day and make the Army your number one thing in your life. If you're making the Army number one thing in your life, I gotta be honest, that really isn't a life. Family, your community, your beliefs, your employers, your traditional reservists. The Army's kind of, in that probably number 3 range most of the time, maybe 4, jumps to number 1 if you drove out the wire with a helmet on and a rifle. That's probably the one time it should be number 1, or even a rifle range. Let's just make sure as we celebrate this week, look to your left, look to your right. Do it right now. Just look right now, left and right. This is what I call the magical beauty of the Army, and specifically the Army Reserve. The Army Reserve is the most diverse force in the world. The world. We're more diverse than the active component. We're more diverse than the Guard. We're more diverse than any other services. Because we come from all over the country and other 4 territories that we have. So when I think about the power that our enemies cannot bring to the fight, our 2 main adversaries right now, the Russians and the Chinese, not a whole lot of diversity there. Not going to get a whole lot of diversity. So if we stick together, we create environments that are productive, and we look at our enemies and go, we're building. We're building the Army of 2030 today, and we get our sights on 2040. And if you want to know more about that, I'm on the global. Email me. My staff will load you full of cool stuff we're working on, including things that will change some of the MI formations. So it's going to be pretty quick. We're going to go through the largest transformation since, I would say, the BCT transformation back during the wars. This is bigger than that. This is like air, land, sea battle back in the 70s to the 90s. So the Army that I fought in Desert Storm was thought about in the 70s, built in the late 70s, funded in the 80s, fielded in the mid-80s, and delivered point in time in 1991 to blow out the Iraqi Army. And that's the same Army we've been using for the last kind of 30 years. So now we got to go build the Army of 2030. And I'll be honest, I'm excited because I get to go to Brig and we're going to have that too? That's pretty cool. Oh, and the Chinese can't do what? And the Russians are thinking, what? It's coming. Spread the word, tell your story, find someone else that wants to come join our kickball team. Because it's not the recruiters going out there and finding folks, right? They got a hard enough job just getting folks to talk to them and getting them in. We need to be out there telling our stories and saying, hey, another Dickerson, let's get one more in, right? We got 2 in a room anymore. Can we get more folks that look like us, that want to be like us, that see themselves in the future as something we want to go do? So thanks for having me here. I look forward to this morning. Please stop me if you got any questions. I guess we're in a secure area so we can talk certain things. But I want to thank everybody here. It is an absolute honor and pleasure after 35 years of service almost, that I still get to be here, and I am amongst the best people in the world. Every single morning I get up, ask Glenn, I walk in the office with a smile, I'm like, what are you smiling about? I'm like, I have the best job in the Army, period. Because I get to see soldiers every day, and I get to go build something that hopefully when I leave in 2030, should anybody decide to take us on, they lose quickly. And you go back to where they came from, it's like, yep, stay out of the real estate business, no one needs any more land. Let's be happy, let's drive on, let's create a society that we're all proud of, and our children can grow up in, and we can grow old in, all right? So thank you all so much. Sir, I'll hand it back over to you, and I appreciate your time this morning.
Come back up for a second. All right. So on behalf of General Brzezinski, Brandon General, I'd like to present you with a work of main coin. I'd like to ask you to help us cut the ceremonial cake.
All right, outstanding. Look at that thing.
Will Chief Gregory and Sir Martinez join us up front? So here's what we're gonna do. They're gonna cut the cake, and then as soon as they cut the cake, we're gonna sing happy birthday to the Army Reserve. And then after we sing happy birthday to the Army Reserve, we'll play the Army song, and then we'll serve cake in the back, all right? Right behind, so right here.
All right, I'll get behind. You guys gotta grab that saber. All right, ready? You gotta put all hands on this.
Yes, that's right. We're gonna count down from 3, all right? 3, 2, 1.
Look up, smile at the cameras, yeah.
All right, let's come and sing happy birthday, all right? Here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, Army Reserve. Happy birthday to you. Woo!
Army song.
March along, sing a song with the army of the free. Count the brave, count the true, who have fought to victory. We're the army and proud of our name. We're the army and proudly proclaim. First to fight for the right and to build the nation's might, and the army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the army goes rolling along. And it's high, high, hey, the army's on its way. Count off the cake, loud and strong. For wherever we go, you will always know that the army goes rolling along.
Thank you for your attendance. We hope to see you again soon. Please join us in the back for some cake. Thank you.